Today we're going to talk about why being on the non-plan plan is the best plan. Hello everybody, good day to you. Welcome back to the channel. We're going back to this 2006 Super Sport Monte Carlo. It's got the 5.3 liter LS4 V8, 303 horsepower, front wheel drive unit. Customer stated camshaft swap, so we pulled the motor, pulled the heads off in order to get the lifters out. This allowed us to pull the camshaft out, and in the last episode, the part one on this engine, we pulled the cam out of her, and look what I found on the bearings. You guys see that? See that copper right there?
Let's get that light deep down inside there. Maybe we can see a little better. Yeah, look at the bottom face from that bearing. See all that copper sticking out? We've also got some deformations taking place in the bearing structure itself. See right there in the center, that little nick that's in there and all those little scratches. If we look way down inside of this bore here, let's try to get some light back there, we can see a similar pattern forming. There it is. Similar pattern forming on the remainder of those bearings. And looking all the way down, I believe all 5 of these units are in a similar condition here.
So what we thought was going to be a quick cam swap has turned into a complete rebuild of such. We're looking at this thing holistically, and I realize now that we're not going to be able to just slap a cam in there, so those cam bearings have to come out. However, that's not very easy. See, we can get to the front bearing, and if I pull this engine off the stand, we can take that rear cover off and we'll be able to get to the rear bearing. But the problem lies with the other 3 bearings inside of this engine block. Let me get her rolled over real quick, and I'll show you what the dealio is. Flip, LS rotation, there we go. Let's put our safety bolt back in. So what I'm gonna have to do, windage tray comes out, we're gonna have to pull the connecting rods off the pistons, knock all 8 of the slugs out, then I'll be able to pull the crankshaft out. Once the crank is out, we can have access to the center bearing and then its 2 flanking bearings in the center of the block. So what I'm gonna have to do is complete the teardown on this engine, get it all stripped to nothing. So at this point we have upgraded this quick performance operation to a full-on rebuild. One other thing to note is I had found all this carbon buildup on top of these pistons. Now that's normally not too crazy, but what I'm slightly concerned with is the amount of carbon buildup that may be on the piston rings, and we're also a little concerned with the valve covers on this 06 LS4. There was an issue with the PCV system on those valve covers, and that's kind of evident based off of, let's not get these out of order, based off of these push rods. So this is the, I think it's the left side set of push rods. And if we take a look over here at the right side set of push rods, see how there's no carbon on these whatsoever? But these ones right here are loaded up full of it. That's due to the PCV issue that's built into the valve cover. So what I've done is found the updated set of valve covers. I'm getting them straight out of St. Louis, Missouri from Eric at the I Do Cars YouTube channel. He operates a salvage company called Import-A-Part. And Import-A-Part happens to stock the parts that I need, so I'm going to import them here. So when I put this thing back together, we're gonna solve that PCV issue at the same time. So at the end of the day, this is gonna be a very nice engine build, but we're not even halfway there yet. The heads are off at the machine shop right now getting new springs, new valve stem seals, and they're gonna go ahead and deck it and make it flat, clean the thing up, make it nice and shiny. So we're gonna make this block match what the heads are gonna look like. So today, we're sort of continuing the disassembly. Like I said, I'm gonna pull the crank out of it. We're gonna knock all the pistons out of it, and then those pistons are going to be chemical dipped in a very caustic, nasty solution of cleaner. That's gonna get the carbon out of those rings over there, and we'll get them all cleaned up and prepped for reassembly. I am gonna put new crank bearings in it. I am gonna put new rod bearings in it. I don't know if we're gonna put new piston rings in it at this point or not. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So let's get everything disassembled and cleaned up, and then we'll make decisions at that point. So stay tuned, because this is going to be a very good part 2 on this LS4 engine build. Alrighty, since we're stripping this thing down more than I thought, let's go ahead and get it all the way stripped down. So I'm going to pull the compressor off. We'll get that serpentine belt tensioner removed, and then we'll start pulling out the crank. And and the pistons and rods. That guy. Come on, compressor. We don't need you right now. There's a stud. See that there? It's stuck on the stud. Slide it forward. Good to go. Released. Bolts going back in for now. That way they don't get lost. Okay. And the tensioner. We got to pull the tensioner. As much as I tried to avoid pulling this tensioner, it's in the way and it's dirty. I'm just gonna get rid of it. Pull it off. Get it out of here. Along with its bracket. There we go. Wasn't that hard? See, I do things the hard way. I should have just taken that off like hours ago. Now we're gonna get to the good part. Let's get the crank out. Now, unlike my last couple teardowns, this engine is going back together. So that means the pistons and the rods are all coming out in order. They're going to be facing the correct direction. So they'll have to go back exactly where they came apart. And we're gonna do it without bashing them out with a hammer. So these nuts here, these are just for the windage tray. This is to prevent oil from splashing onto the counterweights in the crankshaft and causing parasitic horsepower losses. Because science. You know, back in the day, a windage tray was like a race upgrade. And when they came out with the LS engines, that was the upgrade. Like, it was normal. It was built into it. So effectively, these LSs were everything people wanted to build their 350 small blocks to be, except they were just built that way from the factory. Another unique feature about the LS series of engine is these are 6-bolt main caps. So you've got on your crankshaft a main bearing, a main bearing, a main bearing, another main bearing, and then the rear main bearing. And the caps that bolt the crankshaft into the block have 6 bolts. There's 2 here, and then 2 on either, or 1 on either side on the skirt of the block, making this a 6-bolt main. It's super strong and super rigid. Another thing that was a massive improvement over the old 350 style engines. So we're gonna pull these side bolts out right now. Set these guys aside. I don't know if these are reusable. They might be torque to yield. I will have to check that, because I do not recall. However, I must profess, or confess rather, I have reassembled these engines without replacing these fasteners, and I never had a problem. So I don't think that I can't reuse it, but we're building this on the spec, so whatever the instructions say, that's what we're gonna do. Let us circumnavigate the Chevrolet, semi-circumnavigate, because I would like to get this rear cover removed next. That's the one that houses the rear crankshaft seal right here. And we won't be able to get the crank out of it with that cover in place. So I'm gonna try to dig this guy out using my swivel extension without pulling this off the stand. I think I can get to all the bolts. Maybe. Kind of a tight squeeze in there, but that's why I have swivels. Ooh, that was close. It almost didn't happen. All right, next one. I don't know if that one's gonna happen from up here. I just don't know. Okay. Reaching up from the bottom. Got that one. Reaching around and up from the bottom. Next one. The next one. And those two might be fun. 3, there's 3 remaining. And I got no angle of attack here, guys. Going in with a wrench. Okay, going in, super low profile, ultra thin, shallow socket. That'll let me get a hold of these bolts here without taking the engine off the stand. I can reach him. Yep, I can reach him. And kick. This is another one of those watching the painted grass dry scenarios. You know, some folks kind of don't get that. It's like a play on words on two expressions that are designed to illustrate boredom. It's like watching grass grow and watching paint dry, but I'd rather watch the painted grass dry. I think it just sounds pretty cool. I mean, if you're in California, that's a legitimate pastime, because I understand that you guys paint your grass because you're not allowed to water your grass, but you have to have green grass. And I'm detecting some hypocrisy. Otherwise, the city will fine you, and you'll have to pay money. You have to pay the city because the city won't let you have water. Seems kind of counterproductive. It's almost like an overreach of policy. That's just my humble opinion. And sorry if I offend anybody from the California land who actually does paint their grass, or if you're the guy that made that rule. I feel sorry for you, because your ability to critically think and solve problems is quite diminished. Otherwise, you wouldn't be fining people for not having green grass when you won't let them have water. Hey, speaking of that, didn't somebody in Cali decide that if you have a private well, like you have a well on your land, the land you paid for, that you pay taxes on, if you have a well on that, they're going to start charging you a water usage tax for using your water, even though I believe property rights says you own X amount of area below the grade, which would include the water table. Kind of like how you own 400 space or 400 feet of airspace above your property, which is why people can't fly drones in your backyard unless they're over 400 feet. Are you gonna have an air tax next, California? Eh? Okay, that's enough California bashing for now, I suppose. It's not really California that's getting bashed, it's the people that make the rules. Anyway, there's our cover. Let's pull that guy out. I'm replacing this with a new one. Alrighty, I think we're now free to start pulling the main caps off, so I'm gonna crack these guys loose. We'll pop them out of here. The 15s, step it down to the 13s. Go. Tool switch, let's speed it up. Switch it back to the 15. Little speed. Okay, I think we're good. So now what I will do, I'm gonna take 2 of these bolts, put them back in that main cap, and we're gonna use these to walk this cap up and out. Watch this. See that? It looks good in there. Nice looking bearing. Clean. So this has to maintain orientation and position. We can't flip these caps around, and we cannot put them in any other location than the ones that they're in. And fortunately, you can't get the rear main cap messed up. We've got a 4 punched into this one. This one, oh, there's the 3, so they're in order. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So as long as I don't flip them around, then they will not get disorientated or confused or backwards. Next one, let's go ahead and wiggle this guy out. There she is. Good looking bearing. Well, that's pretty tight. Come on. Please come out. Okay. I have run out of patience. Okay, it moved. It's stuck. Did I thread it in somehow? That was weird. Okay. Now the thrust bearing fell out of this one. Put that back where it goes, like so. The thrust bearing, the one in the center journal of the crank, that bearing is designed to prevent this crankshaft from walking forward or backwards. If we take our main, you can see how this bearing has like the side skirt on it right here and right here. That's going to contact the surface on these, or on the crankshaft right there, and prevent it from moving around. 2 more to go. Looking good. Okay, last one. What do we get here? And another very good looking bearing. Beautiful. Okay, I believe now, you know, I probably could have waited to pull those out, but now we're gonna go ahead and pull the pistons out. The reason I say that is I've got to turn this engine over, but I didn't want to have those interfering and being in the way, so I pulled them out. What is that? Do I want airplane parts?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I want to buy airplane parts?
I don't know.
Should we?
I don't know.
We have airplane parts around here?
It's aerospace. Yes, I believe this is all
Oh, fasteners.
fast. Okay.
Maybe. I might want that for fasteners. I like fasteners. All right, let's start pulling pistons out. Now, these connecting rod caps, these will have to get the same treatment as the crankshaft main bearing caps, meaning we may not get these backwards and out of orientation. Oh, sorry guys, I punched you in the head. Excuse me, that was horrible. Break them loose. Now we're gonna pull these pistons and main caps out one at a time. That way I can put them back together and they do not become lost. Oh, bearing down. I need that bearing. I'm probably putting new ones in it, but that doesn't mean we can let this engine consume the old ones now, does it? Uh-oh. Okay, let's push our first piston out. I'm reaching around to the bottom of the hole with my left hand, and we're gonna push this free and clear of the crankshaft journal so it cannot contact it and cause any damage. And I should be able to just push these slugs out by hand. I think they're gonna go. Oh, needs a little encouragement. I'm going to reach in under the connecting rod. So I've got the bottom of this ratchet against the piston on the back side. Give it a couple love taps here. Rings are coming out, there we go. And our piston is now free and clear. Look at that, super carboned up. It's not bad, we're not full of oil and a bunch of nasty in there, but I am gonna go ahead and chemical dip this to clean all this carbon out. Another thing to note, these have to go in pointed the same direction so we can't rotate them around. But if we were to look at the top of the piston, see that little dimple indentation right there? That indicates to us that this is the front of the engine. Okay, so while this piston's out, one cool thing to note is these are called a cracked rod design, meaning when they separate these two halves of this rod, they actually break it, and it is a cracked in half rod, or rod cap rather. That way, they don't have to rely on the tolerances of the machine work in order to create that perfect seal and surface between the two halves, because they're just simply broken and cracked in half, and they fit nearly flawlessly and perfectly together. Like it's a beautiful fit there. See that? You can even see the inconsistencies in the cracks right there. See how that one's at an angle going up? This one's kind of straight across. And if we were to look at the inside of the metal there, you can see all kinds of flaws and peaks and valleys in that break area. And that is by design. It's actually stronger and more stable than a traditionally machined rod cap. Anyway, that's one removed. Let's set this guy aside. We'll put it in the proper orientation on the table. That way when we go to reassemble, we know exactly where it goes. Okay, here comes the cool part. So I've got this piston hanging out, attached to a coat hanger. Let's not drop it on the floor, right? There we go. So we're on this little coat hanger here. What I'm gonna do while I disassemble all these is we're gonna take those whole piston and rod assemblies and we're gonna drop them in this Chem dip, which is carburetor cleaner. They say it will not tear up any coatings and it will not hurt the metals. So we're gonna dip this thing inside of that thing and we will see, ooh, this stuff stinks. We're gonna see just how well this thing can decarbonize our pistons there. That's nasty. That's like the dip from Roger Rabbit.
Oh my God, it's dip!
You guys know what I'm talking about? I forget what they called it. Dip? I think they just called it dip. Yeah, we're gonna dip it in. I'm melting, no! Ah, there we go. Dip that guy right in there and let that hang out until later. Okay, so I'm over here making ridiculous cartoon noises, and one of the vendors walked in, and I don't think he knows that I make videos. And I looked over, and he was just kind of looking at me all side-eyed. Didn't he look at us kind of weird? Because I'm all like, no, dip it in the thing.
Why?
Because I am a weirdo, just like all the rest of you weirdos. We're all weirdos together, right?
Yeah.
Are you a weirdo?
I heard you mentioning the dip
It's
from
the
Roger
dip.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dip. You see what happens when you can't stop laughing? You're gonna die laughing. Oh man, all right, let's knock this other piston out. This is gonna be, I think, our number 8 piston. It's one of the ones out back. Let's get this guy dug out of here. Pull the cap off of it. And get a hold of it so it doesn't fall. We do not want to drop our pistons, and we certainly do not want our rods to hit the ground. Some momentum here. Push. Push. Nope. Gonna have to tap it on out of there slowly. I'm doing this on the piston surface, not on the rod, like the rod surface or the bearing surface. That's not what we tap onto. Not at all. Here we go. It's our next unit. Yeah, a lot of carbon in there. I can see it at the bottom of the ringland and everything. Okay, let's get this one dipped. All right, coming in. Oh. Too much fun. Hey, so listen, I've got these kind of oriented with the coat hangers here. So this one is this piston, and then this one is this piston over here. I'll do them 4 at a time, I think, or I'll dip them 4 at a time. That way we don't get them mixed up, and I've got space in there for half and then the other half. Okay, 11 millimeters again, coming in for our 3rd piston here. Let's crack the cap loose. Oh yes sir, just right over there behind that green Chevrolet, if you would. It's not the red one. The red one referring to that Shelby Cobra / 77 Corvette. It's not actually a Cobra, it's a kit car Cobra. Similar, but different. Okay, cracked cap, coming free. Another good looking bearing. I like that. Let's go ahead and push this guy down free of the crank. Oh, it's almost out all the way. Hang on. See if I can't get in there and, nope. Yep. Next piston coming free, bunch of carbon, loads of it inside of the ringlands. Very good. Okay, let's get number 3 dipped in the hole here. And while we're here, we can pull out the first one we dropped in. Oh, that was smart. Look at that. Look, yeah, if we hang the hook on the side of the bucket. Good thinking, Ray. See how this thing's looking. Oh, look at all that stuff floating on the top. That's all that carbon breaking up. That's nasty. Woo, Betty, look at that. It's looking good. Let's dip it in there a little bit longer. Then we'll pull it out, agitate it, and set it up in preparation for reassembly. Now, I do not have cam bearings yet, so we're not going to get to the reassembly phase. I guess we're continuing the disassembly and cleaning phase. Now, we can see on this rod here, the bolts are inaccessible. So what I need to do is rotate this crankshaft around some and get access to those bolts. And then we can get it loose. So I've got the crank bolt in the front of the snout over here. I'll just give it a turn. I'm pushing in the downward direction so we don't lift the crank out of the block. Turn that around like so, and now we have access to our cap. Very nice. Okay, we're almost halfway through the piston removal process here. I'm gonna try to speed this little operation up a little bit. We're over dilly-dallying around. Okay, back side of the ratchet again. We're gonna push this free of the crank by hand. Yeah, the reason I got a tap on it some is to just get it past that like little bit of a ridge at the top of the piston bores. she is. That one's coming free. Let's back up here and extract it out of the block here. Very carefully. I do not wish to damage engine. Oh, seriously? It's a little stuckish. Give it one more love tap here with the ratchet. Here it comes. And to no surprise, we're very loaded up with carbon. Okay. All right. Last one for this round in the bucket of the dip. Go ahead and get her submerged in there. Break it down. Let's check the status of the these other units. It's getting pretty clean, fellas. Look at that. Very, very clean. That's nice. Okay, so that's first one, second one, third one, fourth one. What I'm going to do now, since I can't fit any more pistons in the bucket, we'll pull these 4 out and then place them on the bench in the correct orientation. That way, when those are clean and done, we can just kind of swap them out. So one set for the rear 4 cylinders, the next set for the front 4 cylinders. That is the plan of all plans. And since this journal's up the top, we're going to pull these front 2 pistons out next. And I suppose I can crack these guys loose as well. We don't have to do them one at a time. We can take them loose. It's good to not get confused by doing them one at a time, but I think I'll be all right. The bearing stayed in that one. By the way, you can't get these bearings backwards. There's a little tang sticking out of the bearings and a recess in the cap that that tang fits into. There's also a similar, nearly identical recess and little tang on the other side of the rod bearing. Let's push her down. We're free of the crank. There she is. Top side again. Let's get cylinder number 2 out of here. Yep, bearing stayed. Give that guy a flip, put it back. That's okay. Push you guys down there, get all the way down. Uh-oh, light's dying. Oh no. Cylinder 2, remove. Okay, we need to get one more rotation out of this crankshaft, or partial rotation here. We'll get these last 2 pistons up at the top. And once these guys are disconnected, our crank is free. Unclick. No. time clock. It must be lunchtime, but I'm busy, so I'll stay here and hang out with you guys. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Come on, piston. There's 2 more to go. 2 more. It's dos en español. Wiggle that guy out. There we go. Almost the last one, guys. Almost. Yeah, look at that. See how you almost cannot get these backwards? Look at that huge gap in there. Flip it around. That gap is immediately closed up and gone. Yep. And when you tighten these down, you cannot see that gap with the naked eye. So there is the crack there, but again, when it's tight, and that all squeezes together, it's impossible to identify. With the eyeballs, that is. I resemble that remark. You know, the foghorn leghorn. Man, this whole episode is like cartoon theme based, I guess, today. Especially with the Roger Rabbit. I missed that movie. Alright, let me rephrase. I missed the time frame in which that movie was relevant and fresh, back when we made art for entertainment. Whatever we got going on now, that's some whole another type of category, but I certainly wouldn't consider it entertainment. It's more like, I don't know, what's the word, guys? Debauchery? There we go. Yeah, turning on TV. That's what it is. Watching TV today is kind of like Las Vegas in the 90s. There we go. I got it now. Sorry guys from Las Vegas. Man, I'm just ripping the West Coast to pieces today. Okay, Crankshaft, you're next. Let's back up some here so we got a good line of sight. What I'm going to do is grab this from the snout and from out back, and we're going to do a straight vertical lift, get the crank out of the block, and we'll set it down on the bench over here. There we go, straight up, one swift motion, up and away. Don't drop it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get these pistons pulled out of here. So we're gonna start with the one I put in first, the one in the right rear, all the way back. Let's get them all drained out. Look at that nasty jumping out of that inside. Look at that. Let's give it a good rinse. Let's see what we look like here. Clean, look at that. Wipes right off. Beautiful. So what I'll do is I'll give them a wipe in lieu of agitation of the solution, because I don't have this stuff in a parts washer. We'll wipe it down with the big stuff removed, and I'll dip it again. A couple more minutes, we're getting there. Start switching these out with the next round of dirties in a minute here. Oh, look at that one. That one came out really clean. That's beautiful. Look at that. I can read the numbers on it now. This is some good cleaner right here. I know it's good because I got some on my knee earlier and it burns. Okay, that one's all set. Let's get this one. Dump it out, flip it over, wipe it down. Back in with this one, a couple more minutes. Oh yeah, a brand new engine almost. Soon. Okay, let's see what our final product's gonna come out looking like here. Let's see what we get. I'm gonna go ahead and pull off these coat hangers because these are coming out. Whatever's left in there I'll get out with a brush and some towels. Yeah, a little bit of leftover stuff there, see that? Not much. What's most important is that we get the ring lands cleaned out. Okay, that one's good. Let's get it up on the bench and set this one in its correct orientation. So that was our right front according to the bucket, which is now this position right here. Coat hanger removed. Look at all that in there. It's nasty. Let's get everybody nice and rinsed out. That's a nasty spot there. Scrape that off with a scraper. Looking really good. Beautiful. Okay, up on the bench. Nice and shiny. We love nice and shiny. On the bench. Last one. So let's do a quick one more before and after before I start dipping the dirties in our jug here. That's after we dip it. Check out the before. Look at that. That's an incredible difference for being inside of this solution for half an hour or so. Look at that. Beautiful. That's what we like. Okay, up on the bench. So that's 4 units cleaned. Let's go ahead. Whoa, almost dropped the piston on the ground. That'd be bad. Let's go ahead and get the next one dipped into solution here. Going down, drowning it. There she is. And I'm doing these in a similar orientation as the rear set for the rear 4. These are now the front 4. So this is piston number 1. We've got number 2 right here coming in. Get that coat hangered. Submerge. It's good. Number 3 coming in. Coat hanger. Because I'm not reaching inside of this bucket to fetch these things. Not a chance. Not even with gloves on. I do not want this stuff getting into the skin or bloodstream. Because that'll probably kill you in 20 years. I wonder if I can dip the crankshaft in this bucket. Clean that thing off too. I can probably do the caps. And I just might. Alright, that's all 4, or the second set of 4. So when these come out, then all 8 pistons, rods, rod caps, and the rings will be clear. Okay, I'm doing it. We're dipping in all of the main caps, if they're gonna fit. They might not fit past the pistons, but I'm trying to get these in here if I can. Yeah, they're kind of fitting. Okay, yep. That should be good. All right, let's let those guys clean themselves up, and we'll check back in on this stuff in a minute. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna head over to the pressure washer and hit this engine block with the washer and get rid of all the remaining nasty that's on the block. Okay, engine block. Let's go outside for a little walk here. So let's see, we got all the rod bearings out of it, fasteners are out, sensors are off, hardware's off. Let's hit this thing with some high pressure hydrogen dioxide. And we'll get it nice and shiny looking. There we go. We can see there's sunlight now. Yeah, let's get rid of that gasket there. For the water pump housing. Goodbye. Score. Beginning small engine stocking sequence now. Down. Pow. Hello, forklift. And you guys used to say spraying engines off with a garden hose is going to ruin them. How about that? Okay, let's shut that off from, oh, beat me to it. That was clever timing. So anyway, I realized that although this is an aluminum block, there is steel in this unit. See all these piston liners, these are steel, and I believe there might be some steel in other places. Regardless, in order to prevent surface rust from occurring, what I'm gonna do is just kind of throw some penetrating oil on all the machine surfaces in here, and that's to keep this engine block from developing any kind of surface rust, like on the liners and in other various locations. Soak that on there real nice like. Because it's going to be a few days before I get additional components here, so I want to preserve this as best I can. I'm gonna hose it down with some lubricant. There we go, nice and shiny again. This will disperse said oil. There, now it can't rust. Yay. All right, let us undip these crankshaft caps. Let's see what those guys are looking like. Yep, they're decarboned as well. They were pretty nasty. They're gonna look a little better when we dry them off, but let's set these over here in the other bucket real quick and start pulling our pistons out, see what we get in here. What do these pistons look like inside? Yeah, I think these need a little bit more time. I'm gonna grab a towel and wipe them down. Oh no, I just dropped my coat hanger. I'm gonna need that. Look at that. Carbon gone. Nice and shiny. We've effectively just lowered the compression ratio. There's so much carbon on there, it was taking up space, and that would increase the compression of the engine. Not by much, or probably not by anything measurable, but the laws of science do dictate such things. The reason I'm doing this dunk and rinse on these is I want to make sure that these piston ring lands get fully coated and agitated. That way all that carbon inside of there can make its way out. I'm gonna need another coat hanger. Oh. Here we go, found another one. You down in there. Let's pull our next one out. Still making sure these stay in the proper order. Oh yeah, look at all that. Bunch of super nasty dumping out of these units. That one's almost clean all by itself. Look at that. Oh, super gross. Okay, we'll put that one back now that it's wiped out. Wiped off. It's not wiped out. We don't want to wipe out our pistons. We just want to wipe them off. Looks like the tile guys are back in action. Yeah, they're here for cutting and prep, and then they're on the job site for the installs because they do, you know, granite countertops and whatnot. So sometimes they're here grinding away, and sometimes they're not. There we go. Get that one all nice and shiny looking. I like it. Okay, you're going back in for a little bit longer. Now on this this next soak cycle on these guys here, that's a gross one. Look at that. Yeah, this next cycle, while these are dipping, I'm going to get those connecting rod caps out, and we're going to wipe those down. Sorry, main caps. The main one's in the other bucket. I'm going to wipe those guys down, and we'll put them back where they're supposed to go in order. Again, they're numbered, so I didn't get them out of order, and you can't put them on backwards. Well, you could. You can do the inside ones on backwards, but I know which way they go. Okay. All right, boys. So I've decided I'm not going to dip the crankshaft in the bucket of nasty. A couple reasons. One, it's going to be top heavy in there, and if that thing dumps out, I'm going to have a bad time. And two, I don't want to fill these oil holes full of that nasty solution right there, because it might leave some kind of a residue or we could end up getting some trapped inside, and that's going to dilute the oil and probably hurt the bearings on startup. So I've just elected to leave that alone. It does not have boatloads of buildup on it, so I'm really not overly concerned about the crankshaft. But what was my concern was all of the carbon buildup on these pistons and the stuff inside the ring lands. That's all in good shape. So at this point, I'm actually at a standstill on this project until I get my replacement camshaft bearings in the mail or whatever. So once the cam bearings show up, what I'll be able to do, or what we're gonna do, I'm gonna roll this guy right back on over, upside down one more time. And we've got a specialized cam bearing and removal tool. It's gonna go in through the front, real long rod with an adapter that fits exactly perfect on those cam bearings. So what I'll do is knock them out one at a time and then drop the new one down in there, hammer that one in position, and that is how that camshaft bearing replacement is going to go. Now the catch is on these cam bearings, if we were to look right here and right over here on the side, there are holes in those bearings for oil to pass through. If we don't get those things aligned properly, then the cam bearings will not be oiled, and we will immediately destroy the camshaft on startup, and that would be bad. However, like I just said, I don't have any cam bearings here. They've been ordered, they're in the mail, so we are once again at a standstill until those show up. So having said all that, guys, I believe I have nothing more to offer you on this particular video at this time, except a thank you for watching this disassembly / partial rebuild series. Let me know what you think about this project in the comment section down below. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell if you wish to see additional content like this in the future. And most importantly, before I go, do not forget to have yourselves a fantastic day. See you guys later in a video, in a Monte Carlo LS4 SS partial rebuild, in a day, in a video, and a transmission. But you know what I can dip? This windage tray right here. Oh no! This is what happens when you can't stop laughing. Let's see if it disintegrates overnight.